Who will win the U.S. presidential elections? Will it be Donald Trump or will it be Kamala Harris? And who will be better for the Indian stock markets? If that's something that's on your mind, you should stick around till the end of this video to really find out what are top brokerage houses assessing in terms of what are the chances of who will be winning this election and who exactly will be benefiting the Indian stock market continuation journey and the key sectors that stand to benefit if either of the Republican or the Democratic candidates wins this US elections. Let's start off by understanding a broader scenario. Brokerage firm Emkay Global has said that a full Donald Trump sweep is likely to be most equity positive outcome with a favorable corporate tax regime in addition to low regulatory burden as things stand as of now. However, Chinese equities could bleed due to increased market uncertainty. It could also be tactically positive for India on the FPI positioning and the flows front if there is a Donald Trump victory. On the other hand, a Harris presidency is likely to be a continuation of the Biden doctrine. Though she is an unknown quantity at this point in time, the long-term strategic partnership will actually continue between India and the US, and there would be, however, some immediate issues surrounding the recent incident involving Khalistani extremists. That will be something that could be in a near-term uncertain zone as well. What they are also saying is that a Democratic sweep could actually trigger a fresh wave of selling, a significant correction. It could be up to 5%. However, they say that that should be bought into as the impact on the Indian economy and the markets is going to be marginal, and the medium-term play for India may actually not see that much of a difference whether a Democrat or a Republican regime is into place as well. However, the third scenario that Emkay Global has talked about is that any gridlock will be technically equity market negative. Such a situation will be the most bearish outcome for the US spending, implying good news for bonds and negative news for Indian stock markets and the global stock markets at large as well. Now, the big challenge of a Trump presidency will be the tariffs. Though China is the main target, India could actually feel the effects as well. So we need to keep that in mind. But which are the sectors that could actually benefit in India if Trump returns as US president? Well, JM Financial has come out with a report on the likely impact of US elections and especially if Trump wins on various domestic sectors. Let's start off with the banking and the NBFC sector. They believe that a Democrat outcome could actually result in an RBI rate cut. This will be positive for NBFCs, whose shares have already rallied from July to September in anticipation of a rate cut by the US Fed. But a Republican outcome could lead to a tighter interest rate regime in the US, thus a stronger dollar, which could also keep the RBI back home on the back foot with respect to the interest rate cuts, and that could ensure that interest rates in India do not come down in a hurry, and hence the expectation of NBFCs outperforming the banks may not really hold. So that could be a bit of negative. But IT services, look at that factor too. Remember, Donald Trump in his previous stint has tried to curb the H-1B visa projects and programs. His policies had actually led to increased H-1B rejection rates. Higher H-1B and L-1 visa processing charges and wage inflation for H-1B resources had also been seen. Now, similar policy stance cannot be ruled out in case he is here for his second term as well. Although most of the experts do believe that Indian IT sector is now not going to be as impacted with such a stance that Trump has on H-1B visas as it was earlier. Also, they believe that the openings for Indian mid-cap IT firms, if he really follows through on revoking China's most favored nation status, could be seen as a positive as well. The next sector is the auto ancillary sector. Now, experts believe here that a Trump win and increased tariff on China imports could mean a China plus one de-risking strategy that can accelerate and benefit the Indian auto ancillary companies in terms of higher exports. However, protectionist policies by Trump could also require Indian companies to invest in the US to localize supplies, which were otherwise exported from India. So there are both sides of the coins that one needs to really keep in mind here. The next sector would be commodities. Remember, commodities have witnessed steep tariffs in Trump's previous tenure, effectively disrupting the efficient price discovery. With regionalism and ring fencing in commodities picking pace, metal prices could inch up under the Trump regime. Already today, you are seeing that the metal prices have rallied right ahead of the election results have come in. The next one will be the chemical space. Again, higher tariffs on Chinese imports under Trump could result in higher competitiveness of the Indian chemical exporters. And hence, despite the imposition of 10 to 20% tariffs on Indian imports, the chemical exports from India could actually see a meaningful jump, thereby bringing back focus on India's chemical sector. The next one will be the textile space. Remember, under the Trump administration, any imposition of trade barriers with China will benefit Indian textile players, as China continues to be the largest exporter of textile products to the U.S. That benefit could come in to India as well. Next is the industrials. Donald Trump's focus is to make USA a global manufacturing superpower, and that may be beneficial for MNC industrial companies like ABB, Siemens, Cummins, Honeywell, GET&D, Hitachi Energy, all of these Indian companies which are already in the process of becoming important partners in the value chain of their parent companies, having a dominant presence in the USA already. And that is what Antique Stockbroking has already mentioned in their report as well. So they are betting big on industrials right there. While most of the experts do believe that in the medium to long-term perspective, not much as to how things progress in the US will impact the Indian stock market story. It's just the knee-jerk reaction that we are going to be seeing as of now. But definitely one has to see whichever president really takes the stage after tomorrow. It will be important to hear from them what is the stance that they take. Whether it is pro-India or not. If it is pro-India, the Indian stock markets are going to be welcoming that with both hands. If it turns out to be an anti-India approach, then a whole host of sectors could actually face the brunt of it as well. But I hope this video has brought a lot of clarity to you as to what are Indian stock market experts really assessing as the situation gets even more tight and neck and neck when it comes to the US election results. Already some results are pouring in. They're already predicting a very, very tight race. Remains to be seen who really is the next US president. Is there any place where one can hide in this kind of a fall, or should one just be a witness to this entire carnage play out, things to settle down, and only then take a step in the markets? How are you really looking at